Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be shopping my stash. I have in front of me a large selection of products that I have found myself not really using nearly as often as I should, especially lately, and with all this no buy stuff and with my mind being in declutter mode because I'm trying to try out all these things so I can declutter them, I have found that there are so many items in my collection that I have not been using, that I have not used, that I can't remember the last time I used, and not all of these items are particularly bad. In fact, I remember really loving most of these items, but I did pick out a few items. Some of these things I have already started to use a little bit more, and I've started to sort of experiment with these items, but most of the stuff is stuff that I literally haven't used in the longest time and I need to use stat. So anyway, let's just get into it. This is something that I actually have started using in the past few days because I've been filming a lot this weekend and I have been using this one and I really do want to use more of it. This is the Cover FX Natural Finish Oil Free Foundation. I really feel that I just have not been using this nearly as much as I should, especially considering that this foundation is somewhere between $40 and $50 from what I can remember, which is a pretty hefty price for a foundation regardless. But this is something that I really want to use more of. So far, I have used it 2-3 times and I think I'm wearing it on my face today and I use very little of it at a time, and so far I've been liking it. I do want to gain some more knowledge on this product. I want to test it for longevity. I also want to see how well or not it works with other products as well, so I will be using this a lot more this month, hopefully. Next, I want to talk about this Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit. You will probably be seeing a lot more of this product on my channel in the future because I really do want to use more of it. This is something that I think a lot of people were really obsessed with back in the day, but now I feel like people have either decluttered it or they have forgotten about it, and I personally wanted to gain an understanding of this product. I wanted to sort of use it a little bit and see if I really had strong feelings about it before I decluttered it. So with that in mind, I decided to try it out and I ended up really loving it. It was very similar in my mind to my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, which you guys know that I love so much. Eyeshadow is something that I, for the most part, am pretty good at using. However, of course, there are going to be some palettes that I just don't really use that much. Those include the Saharan palette by Juvia's Place. This is actually a palette that luckily I have made a point to try and use a little bit more, and I already have published several tutorials with this palette. But again, I think that whenever I do use this palette, I usually stay within this comfort zone of mine, and I really want to use some of these other colors more because this is a good palette, but I literally don't really use this palette to its full potential, which is why I'm putting it in this video. I also really want to use more of this palette, the Dose of Colors Blushing Berries palette. This is a beautiful matte colored palette, matte berry tone palette. It is really nice, but then again, I don't use it, so I want to use more of it. The last eyeshadow palette that I want to speak about in this video is the KKW Beauty and Mario palette. This was such a really hyped launch, and I bought this palette because I really love Mario's artistry. I'm a big fan of his work, and I need to use more of it. I see myself definitely using this blue. It is one of my favorites in my entire collection, and I also really see myself using maybe this color as a highlight shade, this color, and some of the other colors as well. I just want to experiment with this palette. I don't see myself using it all the time or using it on its own that much because I love color, and this is a very neutral palette with a pop of blue, but I do want to try and make sure that I'm taking it out a little bit more often than I am currently, which is, well, currently I'm just not using it that much at all. If you saw the single eyeshadow tag that I think I published, I think it was either last week or a few weeks ago, but you probably might have noticed that I have this huge Z palette filled with single eyeshadows, and I have a few extras that do not get used that I just don't really pick up. And I really want to make an effort to, this month, use as many of these shadows as possible, as many of these colorful shadows as possible, maybe a few of the neutrals. I don't know if I'll be able to do that though, because I don't really like neutrals. But the point is, I want to make sure that I'm using as many of these shadows as possible, because I cannot remember the last time I actually used any of these shadows, and there are a ton of them. I have like a few more random eyeshadows that I just don't use that I want to try and use this month. I have this trio right here. This is called the Wet n Wild Color Icon in the shade I'm Getting Sunburned. You have 3 shades in here. You have a beautiful gold, a brown shade that has like a little bit of a shimmer to it, and then you have like this really pretty, like sort of like a pinkish shade as well. I think I used this trio in a tutorial. I think it was, at this point, it would have been like a few weeks ago, and I used this color right here, and that video sort of reminded me that I cannot remember the last time I actually used this trio besides that tutorial, and I want to actually make an effort to maybe use more of this, to try and maybe use this color more often than I am currently. It's a really pretty shade. Let me just swatch it for you guys. I'm not planning on actually swatching everything in this video, but I do want to show you this color right here. It's a very subtle color. I don't know, I just want to get to know this a little bit better. I want to see how I like it. I might actually end up decluttering it. We shall see. The next shadow that I actually do not use that much at all, but I actually do want to try and use more, is the Kat Von D Metal Crush eyeshadow in the shade Raw Power. Even before all the Kat Von D stuff went down, I had found that I was just not using this shadow that much. And I think the reason for that was whatever look I would do with this shadow would look a little bit too neutral for me. Like, I would attempt to do like a red kind of eyeshadow look, and I would put this on my lids and it would look so very neutral that I would just get bored. So I feel like that's the reason this shadow got really unused in my collection. Let me just swatch it so you can see how it looks like, or what it looks like. This is just pretty much it. As you can see, very smooth, very buttery, goes on like a dream. But it is like a little bit neutral-ish when you like actually put it on the skin. So I'm thinking, like, I'm trying to think of ways I can actually use this and have it fit in with my makeup style. When it comes to using like controversial brands or quote-unquote canceled brands, I really think that so long as you actually have the product in front of you, and so long as you are using what you have, there really shouldn't be anyone telling you to do otherwise. Regardless of how I feel about Kat Von D, I still want to use the Kat Von D items in my collection, because I don't think it's really wise to be to be the person that's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to be using this brand at all because of this controversy. Because at the end of the day, you spent money on an item, you received the item, and in order to prevent it from going to complete and utter waste, you should be using it. So that's like my mindset whenever I'm like thinking about this shadow. I really feel like I should be using it. I'll try and use it in a few looks and we'll see what happens, and if not, I'll probably end up giving it away. Next up, I really want to talk about blushes. I know a lot of you guys might be scratching your heads and wondering, why is she talking about blush? Why is she talking about blushes? She doesn't like blushes. And yes, that is quite true for the most part. I actually don't like blush that much. I, however, have decided that I need to make an effort to actually use the makeup products in my collection, and that does include blush. And I would like to start with these ones right here, the Milani Baked Blushes. These are probably hands down, my camera just stopped recording right then, but yes, I do want to try and use these blushes, because from what I can remember, I think I absolutely loved these blushes, and from what I can tell, these blushes in particular have a very like sheer look to them. They are quite shimmery and they seem to be very flattering. I'm particularly interested in this shade, Bellissimo Bronze, and I've worn it I think twice in recent memory, including this look right here. Today I basically brushed it on my face very lightly and I used it with a little bit of contour. So I feel like this created a really beautiful effect on my cheeks. So this is like the type of color that I think I would find very flattering. So I'm going to try and make an effort to use these blushes more, particularly this color. And let me just swatch it for you guys so you can see what it looks like. It's like this really beautiful, like super, well, flattering looking color. That's what it looks like right there. And I feel like this is so beautiful, and I feel like this is really a blush that I kind of really would like, and there's really no reason for me to actually not use this blush. I would say the same for the other blushes that I currently own that happen to be the Milani baked blushes. I have the Luminoso formula. This is one that has been reformulated. I have the old formula, but that's pretty much it right there. It's very difficult to actually see these swatches, but that's because these blushes are so sheer, and they really give you like this like really gentle, really soft amount of color. It's really not that impactful, but that's kind of why I like these so much. Then I have a luxury product. I am actually not somebody that buys a lot of luxury at all. I think I only have, I'd say, 4 items in my collection that I would consider to be luxury. One of those items happens to be the Dior Nude Air Luminizer in the shade number 1. This is such a pretty highlight, and I haven't used it in ages, and I remember really enjoying it. There it is right there. It's like not a very just blingy highlight. It's a rather subtle highlight, but I do want to try and implement it into my makeup this month. Then, similarly, I have this one right here. This is the Balm Mary Luminizer highlight, and it is a highlight that I have had for the longest time, and I need to use some more because I remember really loving it, but I can't remember the last time I actually used it. I also have a ton of lip products in front of me. I have some drugstore, some high-end. I do have this one right here. I have like this Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in the shade Bond Girl. I got this in one of the Sephora sets. They have like these really big value sets that I really do like purchasing from. This is in the shade Bond Girl. I have used this once and that was it. I have to admit that I feel a little bit intimidated by this product. It's just so fancy and it's just so luxe, you know? But I do want to actually make an effort to use this because I've heard a lot of good things about Charlotte Tilbury as a brand, and I've never actually tried any of her products, and I would like to get to know this lipstick a little bit more. Then, speaking of like higher end, a little bit more expensive items, I have Bite Beauty. I actually do use a lot of Bite Beauty. Well, not a lot of Bite Beauty, but I have some items from Bite Beauty that I really do like. For the most part, every single thing that I've tried from the brand, Bite Beauty, has been an item that I liked or loved. And these are some items that I just haven't really been using from Bite Beauty that I just recently discovered in my stash and I wanted to really implement in my routine. So I have some minis here. I have 2 lip crayons and I have them in the same identical shades. They're both in the shade Gloss. I can never pronounce that shade name, but these are like cool tone mattes. Well, a little bit more of a warmer tone actually. These look so flattering and so beautiful in the swatch, and I can't remember the last time I actually used them, so this month I hope to use these up a little bit more. I also have like these mini double-sided double-ended lipsticks. I have the shade Musk, and then I have the shade Lychee. This is like this really beautiful soft pink color. And then the other end is like a really, like a more nude shade. So again, these are beautiful, and yet again, I cannot remember the last time I used these, so I want to sort of like implement them a little bit more. I have this product from Ofra, and I think I have another one of these. Yes, there it is. I have these 2 Ofra liquid lipsticks, and I think for a long time I was really a big fan of these. I used them all the time. I have 2 shades. I have Bel Air and I have Mocha. To my knowledge, Ofra has rebranded, and I'm not even sure if they still have these colors. I think they probably do because I remember these 2 colors being quite popular. I do think that they did change the packaging. So I have the old packaging, and I cannot remember the last time I used these. So yes, definitely have to use some more of these. And then last but not least, I know I have so many products in here, but I literally, like, these are all things that I haven't used in ages, and I need to use them stat, because otherwise it's just a waste. I have these Rimmel lipsticks. Now, these are all from the Rimmel and Kate Moss collections. I think for some reason, like, at some point I was really a big fan of buying these Kate Moss and Rimmel London collaborations. So I have a few different lipsticks. I have the Lasting Finish by Kate Moss lipstick in number 45, this one right here. This looks like a really beautiful, like, cool-toned nude color. Let me see. That's pretty much it right there. And then I have this one, which is number 32. This, actually, I would really love to use for, like, a summer look, because it's like a peachy nude color, and I actually don't really have anything like this in my collection. Then I have, last but not least, number 102. This, I think I will definitely really be using a lot more of, because like, this is a really beautiful, just like cool toned pink color. So yes, these I haven't used in a very long time. I remember really liking them. They're really beautiful looking lipsticks, and I actually, for some reason, I have really found myself being a little bit more entranced by bullet lipsticks rather than liquid lipsticks lately. So you'll probably be seeing a lot of these on my channel. So that pretty much concludes this video. Those are all the products that I wanted to mention in this video today. As you can see, there are so many items in here that I want to use up, and these are specifically items that I want to try and use in this month, in the month of June. That is not to say that I'm only planning on using these items exclusively and using nothing else. No. For me, I want my makeup to be fun. I don't want my makeup to be plagued by limitations and rules necessarily. I mean, yeah, I have my no buy, but when it comes to actually using makeup, I don't want to be restricted by rules. I want to have fun with it. I want to be able to use virtually whatever I want. This kind of video is simply to bring myself to use more diverse products. I want to make sure that I'm using not just the items that I recently got or that I recently added to my collection. I want to perhaps bring back items that I've had for longer but still forgotten about. So you'll probably be seeing some of these items in like a few tutorials, a few get ready with me's, combined with the items that I prefer using at the moment. But for now, I really look forward to trying a lot of these items out again and really just gaining an understanding of these items and how they work and how I like them and whether or not I like them and how much. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.